What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Spiral Out Podcast, the podcast where we talk about music and movies, merch and memorabilia, artists and art collections, and the collectors. And we also talk about tool and tool-related subjects, the Tooliverse. On today's episode, we have Rohrs. Rod has one of the largest and most extensive tool merch collections that I personally have ever seen. Since day one of me getting into the tool merch universe, I heard the name Rod. I seen people with shirts that said, "I'm not Rod," and they weren't. I seen Rod with a shirt that said, "I am Rod." He is a prominent figure in the Tooliverse. He is the founder of Tool Loot, one of the largest tool merch pages on Facebook, and he is a guy shrouded in hearsay. I heard Rod was a person that can get things. I heard Rod was a person that knows how to get things done. I heard a little of this. I heard a little of that. Lots of rumors and speculation. So I thought it would be relevant to get Rod on the show and set the record straight, so to speak. So without further ado, here's Rod Rohrs. Thank you for listening. Spiral out.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. I'm in my office and I'm in my museum. I'm good. I remember hearing about you from the other admins. They said that you were starting a podcast and that you're going to probably want to talk to me and some other ones. And I kind of chuckled for a minute because I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to get on the podcast. I feel strange sometimes when people come up and just want to take pictures with me that I don't even know. I'm like, that just makes me feel very awkward. I mean, I'll do it, but that's not what I'm there for. I'm not there for the status. But, you know, when I was asked that by my other admins, I'm like, is this just somebody that just wants to talk to me because they want to get like a picture? And I don't do well with that kind of stuff. But then after I started hearing more about you from others that you were, just getting into the shows and talking about your podcast, I was like, oh, okay, I definitely want to talk with them. And then when I met you in St. Louis, I actually look forward to meeting you because I feel like that you have a great idea, great concept that you're going out and you're getting people to talk about some of the things that I think people have questions about or they have misunderstandings. And I also think that you're bringing a lot of knowledge to newbies or even people when you're getting your artists on board. Like when you had Alex on, it was very interesting to hear his backstory about what he was doing with art. And I mean, he's not even a huge Tool fan.
Yeah, no,
but here it is. He's making some killer Tool art.
No, it's great. And again, I appreciate that because I'm just curious what people's perspective are of me as well, especially because, everybody has a perspective of Rod, it seems like.
Yeah, they do.
So everyone listening, this is Rod. Rod, what's your last name?
Rohrs, like a lion roars.
Rod Rohrs. And the reason I wanted Rod to come on is because he has one of the most extensive collections of tool memorabilia that I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you have a crazy amount of tool stuff.
I have issues.
When I thought about doing this podcast, I think you were one of the first people I was like, I got to get this guy on. He's got so much cool shit. The more I dive deeper into the tool collectors and the whole, community, it come to find out you're a super revered guy, but also apparently one of the most I don't know. I don't want to say hated because you're not hated, but you're hated on. If that's a difference, I think people like you, but then they're like, how come this guy's got so much cool shit?
Yeah, I get that a lot, especially after this tour. Oh, this is the guy that, gets there at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and gets all this stuff. I mean, I've heard so many rumors, so many different things, whether it be good or bad. It kind of blows my mind, honestly.
So before we get into polarizing part of your whole reality, how did you get into the tool stuff?
Well, I saw Tool in '96. That was my first show. It was at the Masquerade in Tampa, Florida. It was a few months before I went to basic training, and that was just an amazing time. Didn't know anything about posters or anything. And then when I went to the Lollapalooza show in 2009, I started. I saw the print that was there, and I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome! I need this." I grabbed that poster. That kind of brought me into the realm of collecting. But really, it was probably around 2014 is really when I started collecting. When I opened it up, after getting onto Facebook groups and seeing everything, and then 2018 when I bought my new home, that's when I actually had walls that I could put stuff up. And after going into BST and seeing that group on Facebook, it opened my eyes even more to all the different art that Tool had. And I was like, wow, I need some of this, and I need it now.
You need all of it.
How can I get this? How can I get this? Because I don't know the people. I'm new in these groups. I was in the Tool Collective for a long time, but I didn't really get involved because, when Tool had, no album out for a long time, then I wasn't really into the collecting part. I was more into that after I started seeing the art that was out there from the different shows. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't I get these from the Tampa show when they played here in 2007 or in Orlando? So I was on the hunt for those. I couldn't find them. Come to find out, unless somebody could tell me different, but they didn't make anything for those shows. They didn't make any art. They didn't do anything. They only had specific art for specific shows. And unfortunately, Florida wasn't one of those.
I ran into the same problem. First show I ever went to was in Coachella when they played right after their album came out in 2005. But the very next show I went to was in Vegas, and it was a completely wild show. It was outside, not a festival, just one stage and them. It was an amazing show. No poster. Now that I've gotten into the whole game, I've been looking. I was like, where's this poster for this day? Oh, we didn't make one. Like, shit, that was like the most amazing show I've ever been to. And no poster. And again, I'm late to the game, way later than you. You started, you said in 2000, pretty much 2014, right? Is when you really started collecting?
I would say more of that. Really the collection really started because I was getting them from the shows I was going to. I just wasn't looking for the big ones, like for the doodles. That's what I like to call the big ones. Like even in 2016, when I went to Duluth, Georgia, and that was only my second VIP I ever did. Got to meet Adi for the first time because Adam brought him out, and didn't even know who Adi was because, they didn't let us have our phones backstage or in VIP. They didn't let us have anything, so we couldn't pull it up and look at who they were. And after they just started showing us some of his art, I started thinking to myself, I wonder if he's going to be the next artist for their album. I wonder if they're going to, use him instead of Alex Gray. Then when they released us to get the posters, I remember seeing a doodle, and I said to myself, well, that's just too much money. I'm not going to spend that on a doodle. I didn't even know what a doodle was called. I just saw the extra thing on it, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but that's just too much money. So I passed it up, and I just grabbed a sign. So I was always getting a signed poster from my shows. I just wasn't trying to go after anything else. I didn't know about all the merch game then.
So when did it switch? When were you like, I don't need a doodle to I need every doodle?
That actually was probably in 2018. I remember the first doodle I ever got was from a guy named Jason from BST, and it was the Toronto, Ontario, the fish doodle that I have. And that was what opened my eyes up to it. And then I said, oh man, I got to go after any kind of doodle I can, especially the old school ones. I'm a collector of many different things. And when I go after something, I go after it hardcore. Just it's just what I do. I don't mean to, but I like to chase. I'm a hunter. I'm a good salesman, but I like to chase things that I want. Figuring that out and seeing that there was doodles, available, but they were hard to find, I set out on a course to find them as much as I can. And then when the 19 tour started back up, I said to myself, well, I'm going to go after any of the doodles I can from my shows because I want to get them for myself. And I also don't want to spend a lot of money by buying them from others.
How many doodles do you have currently?
I have a lot. Honestly, where I really kind of foresee my collection going towards is the doodle collection. I know some people will say, "Oh, I don't like it because it takes away from the art," and I do agree on some of them, but majority of them, I think when Adam does it, or Adi, or another artist does a remark, I think that they make it even more interesting, make it more unique by having this extra doodle on top of this great art.
I completely agree. I showed you the picture of the San Antonio remark that I got from Alex Cuno, and I liked the San Antonio poster, but what he did on that for me is it's now probably, in my opinion, one of the most valuable dual posters I could think of, just by how cool it is and my own sentimental value.
And he is killing it on the remarks. I mean, he is just doing something just simple, like with the cool ghost on mine, to going balls to the wall on yours. I mean, it's just this guy is killing it in the remarks. I love it.
I couldn't have been happier. It just came in the mail yesterday, and I'm going to go get it framed today. I have, hitting 30 posters, and I haven't framed one of them, and that'll be the first. I just have them in, like a portfolio.
And that right there is where I feel is where the addiction or the collection really starts. Once you get them and you frame them, you put them up on the walls. Because for me, I've got a couple portfolios with a bunch of art. When I'm pulling it out and I'm putting it in frames, I'm putting it on the walls. That's where it's even just more amazing just to stare at it. I'll sit in my office for hours upon hours, just either, when I was working or just even hang out, just staring at everything. As a matter of fact, when I had COVID 2 years ago, my wife was in one room, I was in the other. We were trying not to get the kids sick, so I stayed in the tool room, and I was in here for 10 days. As much as it sucked having COVID, but it was still, I enjoyed my time just by seeing all of my art in here.
So what's your favorite doodle you own?
That probably, that's a hard one, but I really probably think my Brooklyn and my Melbourne, the ones that Adam doodled, the Adi Melbourne or the Brooklyn. And I feel like that was the coolest ones because Adam did the entire face doodle. He did one of them on the Brooklyn where it's just the face. And then when I had the horns on the Melbourne, then he did the whole doodle for the face and the horns. And that's just amazing. What
did you think of the Belmont doodle? Because that seems to be a kind of a controversial one because he did the whole face and it completely changes the poster, in my opinion. And
that is my favorite one from the tour.
Do you own that one?
I do own it, yes.
I figured if anybody owned it, it'd be you.
Yeah, my friend wound up getting it, and then he knew how much I wanted that one, and he wound up getting a different doodle because I helped him acquire the same one from Belmont, and not the identical one. There was I think 3 or 4 of them that Adam did just the face, and then he did the one that went all the way down to his chest and did the spiral on it.
I really like that Moline one you have. The black skull, it's kind of different than normal. Usually it does like colored ink. Yes,
I actually traded somebody a couple of prints for their skull that they did because Adam did, I think, 4 of the I guess the black and brown is what you want to call it, and then he did a couple of the blue ones. Yeah, I was able to work on the trade. And, I have to go back because, I know you asked me about what my favorite doodle is, and I'm thinking about it as I'm sitting in my office looking around. That is definitely my favorite one, but I have to say, by acquiring a couple of the old school acrylic doodles that Adam used to do back in the day on the print mafias, those are the best. Those are the bee's knees when it comes to doodles.
I remember me and you talking about those when we met in Cleveland, and you were showing me pictures of them, and they're kind of done with like real paint.
Yes, like almost like a watercolor.
Yeah, and
you can see some of how it ran.
Yeah, like kind of bleeds, and it doesn't take away from it. It kind of, in your opinion, they amplify how cool a doodle is because it's like real paint. It's there. He had to take time and do whatever he had to do to get that going.
Taking the time, exactly. That's the key. That you can see that in those how he took his time on doing the actual doodle on top of the art. And those are so hard to find. I've been looking, and they're very expensive. They don't come around very often, and I was able to get a couple of them. But I'm pretty much done now. I've got 2 acrylics. I don't need them all. I mean, it would be cool if they were presented towards me and, to me and, at a good price, then I probably would jump on it. My wife thinks I'm crazy. She thinks I'm just too out of control, but she knows how much of the passion I have. And I'm hoping to, turn all this into a kind of a museum / gallery. I have these ideas that I want to do because I want it to be shown for everybody. I would love to be able to create an environment that people can come into and they can look at all the art. They won't be able to buy the tool art, but some of the other artists that I'll have for sale that they can buy those kind of prints, whatnot. But yeah, not the tool stuff.
Without telling me any prices, what's the most expensive piece of tool thing you have? And if you don't want to answer that, you don't have to.
I don't mind answer. I'm just thinking probably one of the acrylics.
Fair enough.
Yeah, definitely one of the acrylics because that's the most I've paid for anything. My success. Okay, I started my own business 17 years ago. This year, 17 years. I started with $15,000. We've billed over 25 million plus, and I've worked my tail off to get to where I'm at. And luckily, I'm enjoying life even more now because I'm not working as much as I did. I've had rumors of people saying, "Oh, you're a trust fund baby," and that I'm just having all this money out there that I could do anything I want with. And I wish that was true. I wish I had just endless amounts of money because I would be sharing it with a lot of friends and whatnot. I'm very, very giving when it comes to, helping others out and doing things. And I have no problem with that. But I also, if I like something and I like a collection, I want to go after it. If I can afford it, I'm going to do it. And I know that there's jealousy out there for that, but it is what it is. Anybody else would do the same thing if they had the opportunity.
Of course. And since we've met, again, you being such a prominent figure in these groups, you have a lot of friends, obviously. And I've asked around, what do you think of Rod? How do you know Rod? I'd say 95%, maybe even 98% has all been positive. But the one thing that did stick out to me is multiple people were like, Rod came from nothing. And now you're able to do all these cool things and you should enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, I if you would have seen me as a kid, we were so poor. We didn't have anything. I remember when I was very young, my mom couldn't even afford the water bill and she'd have to go over to the neighbor's house and use a bucket, get water from a spout outside to go fill up our bathtub to give me a bath. Or to get my bath ready for me. That was just the tip of the iceberg. She never asked for a handout. She worked 3 jobs, put food on the table to take care of myself and my older brother and sister. And, we barely survived. We had to just live off of whatever we could. And now I have an amazing life compared to that. And I share it with my family and my close friends. I'm very, very giving and very helping, I guess you could say, when somebody needs something, when it's somebody that's close to me. But I've also been burned because I have, I wear my heart on my sleeve sometimes because I do care. I do care about a lot of people. And my close friends and whatnot. But I've had people take that and use it against me. I had a friend of mine that I was a PB for the tour. And I got him 12 posters. I didn't, from 12 shows. I didn't charge him any more money than what the poster was. And he only went to 2 shows. And then he tells me, "Oh yeah, I got you a drumhead doodle from my show, and we'll work out the payment later." I'm like, "Oh, thanks! I can't believe you did that." Blah blah blah. And then it comes to a few weeks later after the tour, and he starts to ghost me a little bit. And this guy I consider a really close friend of mine. And next thing you know, he then comes back and says, "I want to go ahead and give this drumhead doodle to a friend that attended the concert, but I want to find you a different one." And I said, "What do you mean find me a different one?" He's like, "Well, I'll find you one." And I felt like he was just fluffing me up because he had other things in mind for this drumhead. And so I got upset and I said to him, you just don't change your mind like that. I said, "I already sent you all your posters that you wanted. I gave them to you at cost. I even gave you a drumhead." And he says, "Oh, you're just upset because you're not getting your way." No, you gave me your word and you stand by your word. And that's the one thing I will do. I will stand by my word when I'm telling people I'm doing things.
Again, this is a whole different level of collecting and trading that I'm familiar with. I've done lots of posters, but I haven't done anything in the upper thousands, because that's what we're talking about here. You're talking about thousands of dollars worth of posters and drums.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't pocket change we're talking about. 12 posters is $5,000, $6,000 even, depending on what poster it is. It could possibly be more. If you want to play the game, you shouldn't shit on people that are playing it well.
No, not at all. You shouldn't do that whatsoever. And this game has changed so much from from 19 and 20, where, as a PB, as a poster buddy, it's always been known that if you say you're going to get something from that show and get it to that person, you're going to do that. And I've seen it so many times now this tour, because all the bangers weren't starting to happen until after the California shows. So it seemed anyway. And, I made a lot of deals with people from the beginning that, hey, if you're going to go to this show, then I'll PB for you on this one. I'll blind trade you. And we did all this. And as a matter of fact, there's a guy named was an awesome guy. A lot of people know him now. He wound up getting he told me, he said, if I get a doodle from one of my shows, it's yours. I'm like, man, you don't have to do that. He goes, no, I know how much you love the doodles. It's yours. So he goes to Colorado Springs. He gets the doodle, and he gets a doodle drumhead. And so then he hits me up later, and he said, do you want to sign? And I said, well, if you still want to go with that deal with the doodle print, then I would do that. He's like, yeah, I will. And then obviously, you add up because the doodle's going for $800, and then you figure out what prints are going to be for that amount of money. So we made our arrangement. I'd get them the prints from my shows, and I wound up doing it. But I mean, there were some bangers compared to some of the ones they had. I could have went back, go, you know what? Yeah, that's a cool doodle, but I have a Tampa Audi, or I have the Philly Alex Gray. But obviously, I wouldn't have done any of that. I said, okay. This is what the deal we made, and we made it happen, and that was it. And I've heard from so many more people this time around how much it's changed. Where as a poster buddy, you're gonna, and I think you brought this up in your other podcast, the second one, about where people don't stand up to their side of the deal. They don't move forward. They come up with a reason. No, I couldn't get it for this reason, or I simply didn't want to do it because mine's better print than yours is. And it can't go like that, because nobody knows what the prints are going to be for the shows until later on down the road, or until the show starts. So to do a blind trade at the beginning of the tour, that's going to go away eventually if it continues down the path of people changing their minds after they saw the poster that they didn't want. Like Anaheim. There was a person I traded, and Anaheim was a part of it. Obviously, I still continued with the trade, and I made it happen. Whatever it is, what it is. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Anaheim, but I did want it for the collection, so I've got it.
Do you have every poster that they released this year?
I do.
Yeah, I figured.
And I got it from the last tour as well.
Wow.
I'm very lucky. I have some really good friends that have become friends of mine from this whole, poster buddy game. And it's like, there's certain people that no matter what, I don't care if they go to one show or two shows, I'm going to help them out with every one of my shows, and I'm giving them to my cause, because that's what I do.
So the question I have with poster buddies, I don't necessarily think it's getting harder and harder to be a poster buddy. So for example, me being in Moline, they limited to you at one poster, and I almost didn't get the one for my poster buddy, and I only did one poster buddy. I guess the question I have is how have you been able to guarantee for all the shows you went to?
I can never guarantee them. I tell them I can never guarantee, but I'm going to do everything in my power I can do to get them. And honestly, that's why I get there at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I hated and I have to go on record and say, I hate getting there that early. For the last tour in 19 and 20, I was getting there by 6:55, 7:30 in the morning. But because of one of my close friends for the Eugene show, he's like, all right, we have to get there early because another guy's going to be there even earlier than us. I'm like, oh, shit, here it goes. And so, Eugene was a 4:45 deal. And I was like, I cannot believe I'm getting to a show to wait this long at 4:45 in the morning. And that, I think, set the pace for the whole tour.
Oh, for sure. Because we met in St. Louis in person for the first time. We had talked a little bit before that. But then by the time Cleveland, the last show, 48 hours in advance.
34 hours, yeah. I flew into St. Louis. I got there at 11:45 in the morning, 11:30 in the morning. Met up with my friend. He was right there in line. He got in line for him and I because he got there a couple hours before me. I wound up getting in line, I think, by 12:30, 1 o'clock at the latest. And I was there the whole time until the next day. That was on a Thursday. So the show was on Friday. We wound up, all of us would rotate, and, somebody would go and take a nap for a few hours and then come back and so forth. But yeah, that was the longest line I was ever in. Again, we were able to go and get a couple hours sleep, but it was hardly anything at all. And that was a complete shit show, as everybody knows. I mean, come on, my address was put on Reddit.
Yeah, well, let's get into that. I think the part of the controversy of people is that, you do have so many friends. Me personally, just watching that whole day, not only do you have friends, but you have people that are, I guess, look up to you or they're looking out for you.
I'd say looking out. I don't say looking up, but yeah, I mean, we look out for each other. We do, I mean, we try to, and that's where I guess the term that I have a crew that I work with, that we look out for each other. But, we're all friends. We're talking about how are we going to get to this spot? How are we going to get to there? How many merch booths are there? Everybody talks about that. Everybody comes up with a game plan, because once those doors open, it's madness. It's chaos. But
what I haven't heard anybody say, other than people that were with you, was, and you may not agree with this, you didn't say it, but, an individual in your group was like, I don't care what happens, Rod is first. I was like, damn, he's got it like that?
Wow. I think I was actually number 2 in line. And what I did was, there was a couple of people that wanted drum head, and they were already there. And I said, well, I've gotten the drum heads I want. I don't need any more. So, one of the guys was going to be sick. He's, I think, 6th in line. And he goes, so you don't mind grabbing me a drum head? I'm like, no, not at all. And he goes, well, do you want extra money? I'm like, no, I'm right here in front of you. Why am I going to ask you for extra money? I said, if anything, I'll throw it on my credit card, and then you just send me the money right back. And I think that's where that probably comment. No, Rod, I was actually number 2. I wasn't number 1. But that was the goal. The goal was, as soon as we found out that there were drum heads, that I was going to go ahead and get them and give them to them. And as a matter of fact, I actually saw a couple more come out later, right before Tool came on, and they were walking them over to the other merch booth. I could have ran up and grabbed them, but I'm like, why? What am I going to do with them? I don't want to sell them and flip them. I'd rather have somebody else get them that didn't have a chance to get 1 or 2 of them, because we know how this bass drum head game has been this tour.
Yeah, I wish you would have told me. I would have grabbed one.
But, it's funny because, we get in there and we get our stuff, and they tell us it's unlimited. We could have taken as many as we wanted. And I'm not going to lie to you. And I helped out my PBs, and then I made some trades. And I don't think that's a big deal. I know some people are going to say, oh, that's horrible, you did this. But I didn't grab 30 or 40. I never grabbed that many.
But do you think that you being 2nd in line, and, granted, you didn't grab as many as you could, but do you think that may have set a precedent for the people behind you?
Oh, of course. Of course it does. Oh, Rod's going to grab everything. Rod gets it all. Rod buys everything. I hear that all the time. And again, if I'm looking for one doodle for myself, whether it be a print and a drumhead doodle, that's what I collect. That's what I'm going for, because I want other people to get an opportunity to get a sign, especially in VIP, because that's why we paid all this money. We're standing there all that time. Oh. But you can't control what the merch booths do. They're the band can say what they want, and they can say they're going to limit it to 1 per person, but it's really all about the merch booths. I know on one of your other podcasts, you made a comment about that supposedly the merch booth was making some money, extra money, if they sold all their stuff. I don't know. I think what it is, I think that they're just bombarded by us crazy fans, and they're not used to it. They want to get rid of shit as quickly as possible, so they don't have to deal with all the drama. Because I can tell you, when VIP ended and they opened the regular doors up, I went up front and I could not believe the chaos in Cleveland. I could not believe it. I mean, watching these poor merch ladies, telling people to get back, and people are getting pushed up against the tables. They're like, get back. And then the police were telling everybody they're closing it down. And then when they shut that gate, I couldn't believe it. I've never seen that. And I've been to 37 shows now, and I've never seen anything like that. And it shouldn't get to that point. I mean, I get it. We all want to print. They're limited. But I mean, to put people's safety and their lives at risk, it just makes no sense. And then the threats and when I was being told that I was being doxxed on Reddit, I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. I don't ever get on Reddit. Like, oh, they're trying to find your information. Because apparently, there was a picture that went around that showed some other guy that was bald with a side profile with a beard. And they're like, oh, that's Rohrs. And then they figured out my email address, my Instagram, and then they posted my address. And I lost my shit. I'm like, why would somebody post my address for something like that? That's where my family lives. that this is over a poster and you're going to try to put my life in jeopardy. It makes no sense to me at all. I mean, it's paper. I get it. We all want it. We want to have it for our collections and whatnot. But the threats and violence that people have or want to have because you get something, it's baffling.
I completely agree. I don't think that violence or putting somebody's address out there or any of that nature should happen. But I also understand, again, I'm not saying anybody should do any of those things, but I can understand the passion. You know what I'm saying? Take it from a guy who may not be as financially stable as somebody like you. I paid, what is it? $300 for a plane ticket. I paid $500 for my VIP pass, $400 for my rental car to go to Cleveland. And then I waited hours in line and did not get a signed print. I mean, that's devastating. At least.
Absolutely. I'd be furious.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I wouldn't want to fight somebody or try to take them, try to threaten to take their stuff after the show. I saw some guy walk up next to me after I found out that my address went out there, and I was just kind of standing there by myself, just kind of getting my head together. And, I was feeling kind of good. I was trying to just get my head right and wrap my head around all this craziness. And I watched this guy walk up with a garbage bag that was almost as tall as me. And he had it full, and nobody said shit to him. I couldn't believe it. I just looked at him like, how is this guy standing there with shirts and whatever else he's got in there, and he's just walking around with this stuff, and nobody's even acknowledging him or paying attention to him.
Was it like shirts in there or prints or everything?
I have no idea what he had, but he had a bunch of stuff in there, and it was very interesting. I was curious what was in that bag.
I'm not trying to argue with you. I see where you're coming from as well. And again, if I was in your position, I would probably do something similar, especially if I had the experience. I think part of my thing right now is I get up to the table and it says unlimited, and getting any more than 4 prints, I just feel terrible.
Sure.
I want to speak candidly, but I also don't want to burn a bridge with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you will burn. No, you know what? I'd rather have you be honest and open, please. That's what it's all about. I'm that kind of person.
Sure.
If you just come to me and come straight to my face and ask me about it, I'll answer any questions. And you know what? Even if I don't like what you have to say, I'm still going to listen.
So,
but where I draw a line at is the bullshit rumors.
Yeah, I have no rumors.
Like the guy who the rumor was that he stole people's prints in Miami with the fake rental car story. Well, I hear stories that I have a crew that I make fake wristbands for VIP, and I make them, and then they go buy their hard tickets, and then we all go in and we get everything. First and foremost, I had 15 VIPs this whole tour. Actually, I'm sorry, I had 14 VIPs, and then my buddy gave me his Boston VIP because he knew that I wanted a doodle. And he's like, just grab me a poster. He goes, you're going to be a lot better at it than I am. So he gave me his VIP. And I said, okay, I'll do that. I've had people actually hit me up asking me if I would go ahead and they would pay for my flight, my hotel, my ticket, and everything if I would just get them all the stuff they needed. I said, no, absolutely not. I said, because this is something that I enjoy. And if it becomes something where it's just about money and making a profit, I don't want to do it. Again, I'm a hunter. I'm a sales guy. I love to hunt. I get there for a reason. You said earlier about how, you were in line and you didn't get something, you were pissed. That happened to me at the Chicago show in 19. When I waited in line all day, I get inside and my buddy was the last one to get the signed print. So then I had to go on eBay and buy one for $600, and I was pissed. I'm like, that sucks. I know that, and I feel it, and I understand it. But I even said to myself, though, this next tour, I'm going to get there as early as I can, and I'm going to be the number 1, number 2, number 3 person in line, because I'm going to get, if I can't get a doodle, I'm at least getting a sign.
The difference was in Cleveland, I'm 10th in line, I'm maybe 11th. So there shouldn't be, in my opinion, a reason why I couldn't have gotten one, other than people in front of me being, in my opinion, a little bit greedy. I'm not mad at them. I want to say that, first of all. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm disappointed. I'm still fine. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm not complaining. That's the game. I ended up coming out pretty good in Cleveland. I got a bunch of prints that, were released at other shows, and got a mystic guy and all that. I'm not complaining. I definitely want to say that. The second thing, and again, this is not your doing. I don't specifically think, but for some reason, you are a leader in this community, and you may not think
I don't
that.
see how.
I
I
know,
just don't see.
I know you don't
You know what
see
I
it,
think it is?
but I see it, and other people see it because they go, Rod, and again, I think it's just because you go to so many shows and you're an admin in the pages and you help a lot of people, and a lot of
That's
people
what I was
just
going to say. I've heard that because I'm an admin in Tool Loot that I abuse my privileges or whatever.
and I'm
But I
not
don't.
I don't think you're
really
abusing
don't.
them. Sorry. I don't think you're abusing them. Again, you may not have chosen to be a leader in this group, but I think just from sheer experience, people go to you and they see what you're doing and they want to replicate that. And I'm not saying you owe anybody or have any responsibility to anybody. I just think that when you're in front of the line, the next person in line is going to go, I'm going to get 20. And then the next person in line is, well, he got 20, I'm going to get 30. And again, this is not your fault. I'm just explaining what I saw, if that makes any sense.
I don't agree. I just think that I don't know. I mean, about the leader thing, I can tell you this. I share my tricks of the trade with my friends. I tell them what I do. I tell them like where I'm going and stuff. And and I've seen people do a lot worse when they're trying to get things and are really trying to be sketchy. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go up and get what I need to get. And it's funny because like when I was in St. Louis, again, they had no limit on prints. I was only grabbing a few of them, but the merch lady was so slow with everything. The person behind me is like, I've seen you at this other show and I know you're going to buy all these and put them on eBay and stop getting everything right now and hurry up so everybody else can get something. And I'm like, it's not my fault. Talk to the merch lady. She's taking her time. And I think I grabbed a doodle and then my shirts. I won't grab a ton of shirts either. I'm not gonna go out and try to buy 50 shirts and then try to at the shows or anything like that. I'll get them for my friends, and then obviously I'm gonna get them to sell them because everybody does it. I like the term of a flipper. My term of a real flipper is somebody who goes to the show, buys the prints, and then puts them on eBay and tries to sell them, and that's all they do. I am at the show. And I'm at the entire show. I'm there before it, and I'm there until the end for every one of them. I mean, I've had comments, you have the best seat every time because I like to take video and stuff at the end or show the pictures off some of my pics from the show. I get blasted for that as well for having better seats. And I've even heard a couple of rumors that I've snuck right up to the front and I've stayed there the whole time. No, I've gotten lucky to get my seat in the first 3 rows every show for my VIPs.
Yeah, and I have no judgments
Sure.
on anything that you're doing. I specifically think what you're doing is fine. And again, I may be wrong with the leader stuff. It's just my perspective, and you may not hear the comments that I hear around the community, especially like waiting in line and stuff like that. And I mean positive comments, not just negative. Again,
Can I share with you
Sure.
a rumor that I had from the other day, please? And I laughed about it. So on this whole Cosm Alex Gray auctions, right? So we all know about how crazy the auctions have been. And from what I've heard, I actually spoke to somebody higher up at Cosm this week. The guy actually reached out to me because of all my venting. See, and let me back up a little bit more. So I feel like that because I'm a business owner for as long as I have been, I'm a good negotiator. I am the guy that when I'm right up front, if there's something going on with like security trying to move us or whatever, I'm good at not necessarily arguing with them or talking them into it, but I'm good at getting them to see the point of what we're trying to do and getting them to believe in what we're trying to do, if that makes sense. Or well, let me give you a real life scenario. So in Eugene, we were there, I told you, at 4:45 in the morning. There was people there, a couple of them that were before 40. They were, I think, 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, we had a line started, and then all of a sudden, the security came out and said, okay, they opened up 4 metal detectors or 5 of them. I said, okay, everybody needs to get behind each one of these. And I said, no. Hold on. I said, excuse me. I said, I've been doing VIP for a long time. I said, if you start moving these people over, then all the ones that have been in line since this morning are going to lose out now. And I said that we have to be the first ones to go in because we've been waiting in line the whole time. And after reaching out to Tools VIP and reaching out to a couple of people that work there, they saw that and they fixed it. And that happened more than once on a tour that we were almost going to get screwed out of being in line. together, or being in our right spots in line. And that's where I feel like, because of my experience in my business, my negotiations, things like that, I'm used to not necessarily being the leader, but being the person up front to make sure we're not getting screwed, that I'm being the voice of us, if that makes sense.
Sure. I would like you to finish your story about the Alex Gray Cosm.
Oh yeah. So after because I was screwed on a couple of the auctions, the first one and then the second one. And I emailed them and I said, I don't understand how it shows that the bid ended and you lost the bid. So this gentleman called me up. He explained to me that they had a lot of problems with their auctions, that, because they're a small community. There's only, I think, 20 people that work there. So they already started up they're using a new company now, starting on the 21st for the new auction, because they don't want to see the fans getting screwed over. And one thing I shared with them, I said, if you guys can do anything with because when you look at somebody's bid, you can see, like, I guess, an initial. So on that, apparently it's either somebody else with the same initials or in their email, because they'll say R dot 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 R dot 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 dot. So the rumor is going around that, Rod with the deep pockets is buying up all of them because it's showing the initials RR in these auctions. And I just have to laugh because I'm like, this is not me. I'm not buying these. I'm not spending $7,000 on the tour thank you, the crew thank you print. I'm just not doing it. I don't want it. It's cool, but I'm not going to spend anywhere near that kind of money. I'm looking more for other things. I mean, as we were talking, my doodle came that I bought on eBay. I can't believe I bought on eBay, but it arrived just a few minutes ago. I try to stay away from eBay if I can. What's that?
Which doodle was that?
The Minneapolis with the face, with the doodle face. The one with the big boobs, the chick with the big boobs, and it's the doodle over her face.
Okay. What I'm trying to put together, and again, this is me trying to do a podcast and ask, questions people want to know, because people do want to know about Rod.
Sure, please. Ask away, anything.
But also not be too leading, I guess, because I feel like you've answered most of what people are talking about when it comes to you. They ask, how come Rod gets so much stuff? Rod gets so much stuff because he gets there early and he has enough money to get what he wants, period. And then how come Rod seems to be in everything? And it's because you spend the time and send the emails and you put yourself out there. I mean, that's what I'm gathering.
I'm a hunter. I'm a hunter. I'm ready for the Chet Zar drop to happen at 3:00. At 12 PST.
Me too.
Pacific time, but I'm waiting for it for Eastern time so I can get it. I'm going to be right in front of my phone or computer, whatever I have to do. I'm a hunter. That's what I do. I go after the shit that I want to get, and I don't try to talk people out of selling me things, but if I see something come up and I see somebody gets a doodle or whatever, and if they're not framing it, if they're not excited, of course I might message them and say, hey, if you ever consider selling it, let me know. If you want something, why not go chase it?
So I ask most of my guests this same question. What is it about Tool in general that, lights a fire under you?
The band is just, they're such a tight niche band. I mean, they're mysterious. It's kind of the energy level that they bring. What I've always loved about how Maynard, at the beginning, he was always in the front, but then he started going into the back because he wanted the focus to be on the rest of the band members. I love how everybody has their own thing that they do, and they do it amazingly. And then when they put it together, it's so powerful. I mean, the music in itself and the energy is just more amazing than any other band I've listened to.
Fair enough. I mean, that's part of the reason that's what got me. That's what hooked me, was the mysterious part. And then you get into the musical composition and whatnot. And like you said, it's almost masterful, if not completely masterful. And then it's the whole
it was always a suspense.
No, I mean,
their lyrics always a suspense. Maynard would never release them because he wants the user to interpret that song in their own ways.
And I'm a big advocate of that. This will come out in the podcast that I'm releasing today, but I kind of go on a rant about how I don't like to look up Tool lyrics specifically because I don't want somebody else's interpretation of a song to ruin what I already have interpreted or have associated it to my own life.
Absolutely. I mean, and for me, music is about everything. I mean, it could be happy times in your life, sad, working out, whatever. And I look at, I follow. I'm such a music fan. I've been able to play my own instrument. I did get lucky and I bought a silver burst that Adam signed for me. I've been trying to learn how to play it. I've learned a little bit, not a ton. It's just, music for me is just, it gets me through everything in my life.
And it's and you're not only a fan of Tool, but also Perfect Circle and Pucifer, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually looking forward to meeting up with you in Vegas for the Pucifer show.
People definitely gravitate towards you.
Yeah, I can see that as well. And, but there's other people too that, I gravitate towards as well, like, Eric Trajani from The Collective. When I first started doing when Fear Inoculum was released in Jerome, I talked to my wife. She's a fan. She's not a diehard fan, but she's a fan. She'll go and see him, once on a tour or whatever. But her and I went to Jerome for the Fear Inoculum CD release party, and here it is. I'm meeting all these top dogs, these guys from these groups, and I'm like, oh, I was a little nervous, and then I find out that people are getting a line at midnight. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And then my wife says to me, she's jokingly, and she says, I cannot believe that you're not getting in line with them right now. I'm like, maybe you're right. She goes, no, don't do that. No, just go to bed. I'm like, no, maybe you're right. Maybe I need to. I didn't fly all the way here to not be able to get in. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I got up and I went and jumped in line, and I, got to meet Eric and a few other people that I've learned a lot from. And I was definitely nervous because I'm like, these guys definitely are more well known in these groups and whatnot. And, I don't want to look like I'm some kind of fan or something, and I wanted to learn more of what they were doing. I wanted to figure it out. I hated going to people all the time and then messaging them when they went on to the Europe tour. Hey, could you get me a poster and a medium shirt? I'll pay you for it or whatever. And then nobody's calling me back. Nobody's responding to me. And I'm like, God, how do I get one of these? I was looking forever for stuff. And then I found a couple of people that I became friends with, and they started PBing for me and taught me the ways. And that's kind of the way I learned it. And I do it today the way I was taught. And, I do try to look out for others. Absolutely. We all, anybody that sells anything for over, the price, we're all flippers. It is what it is. I mean, everybody's making a couple of dollars or whatever, but not getting to the point where you're robbing people. And I don't like that. I don't like how some of these crazy prices that are out there right now. I mean, come on, $5,000 for a Cleveland sign it blows me away.
I agreed. It completely blows me away.
I would never do that. I don't even use my eBay account. I mean, I use my eBay account to buy things on, but I haven't sold anything on there in years.
Again, getting X amount of prints, your justification, I guess, is, poster buddying and trading. They're ending up in fans' hands anyways, but wouldn't they end up in fans' hands if you just got the one for you and the doodle for you, or if you just got what you wanted? Why should the people at the shows miss out because people and do stuff with want stuff as well?
I can see two different sides to that. Okay, so say I'm the guy that's only getting the doodle and then leaving, right? Maybe there's going to be more people that are going to get them. I don't know. But the way I look at it, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to get them for my PBs. And that's going to be my end game. And I'd rather do that and keep hopefully some of those out of the hands of flippers that are just there to do, like in Houston, the guys that were in front of us. I'm still so perturbed by this because I waited there. I got there 5:30 in the morning, freezing my ass off. I get inside. They didn't have the prints ready yet to sign. The band didn't sign them yet. So then they started up a sideline. Well, because they were letting us buy more unlimited or unsigned, there was no limit. So I grabbed a few of them, and then I got in line, and I was like 10th in the back of from the front of the line for signed. And these guys grabbed the doodles. They grabbed them, and then they left. They didn't even stay for the show. They went ahead and they posted them on eBay like 25 minutes later. And then and they sold them for I want to say like $3,000 each or something. And that made me so upset because I'm like, God, I was already waiting in line. They got taken. So I'm sure other people are going to feel the same way when it comes to me or other people. God, I was, like you said, you were 10th in line and then you didn't get a signed print. And now you're going to have to go to somebody else and buy it from a flipper. I definitely understand that. And I think it sucks. I really do. I mean, I think everybody in VIP should have been able to have a chance to get signed because I'm not going to get as many as everybody else, as some of these other flippers. But it's
I get it, man.
It's stressful, man. It really is. It's stressful because I try to do the right thing all the time, but I'm always going to be the bad guy some way.
Let me just say this. I don't think you're a bad guy. I don't think you're responsible for anybody else's actions. You're just a guy who is doing well and getting what you want. And again, people gravitate towards that. So other people are going to try to replicate that. And not only that, the fear. People are afraid of you and how well you can get to places and get posters and doodles. And so it's going to cause others to panic and scoop up as much as they can. Again, from replicating what they think you're doing, and then the fear of, you clearing things out, which you aren't doing.
It's just this time has been worse than others, just because, the whole reason why I started Tool Loot, because I wanted to be a page for collectors that wanted to come in and show their stuff off. Because I know you said that I have an amazing collection. I know I do, but there's other collectors out there, I've told you this before, that have even better shit than I do. They just don't show it off.
Yeah, I know.
But the way I look at it is, why not show the art off? That's what it's for. It's for to show it off. Why not? That's why I like to do Mail Mondays or Frame It Fridays, whatever, just to give reason for people to show off what they have, because it's exciting. I don't know about you, but when you get that print or you get that drum in or whatever that piece of merch is you get in, you get excited and you want to show it off, don't you?
Yeah.
Show it off to your friends or whatever. I mean, and that's I don't even really get on Facebook that much. Really, I'm on there for the Tool group. That's about it. I love to have conversation. I've made so many good friends that I'll fly and hang out with them, or they'll fly down here and hang out, just because we become friends by all this madness. And I think that is probably the best part out of this whole thing, is that I actually have friends I go to shows with now. I used to only go to Tool shows by myself. I mean, my wife would go to one show, but if I'm going to hit up a bunch of them, she wasn't going to those, because she's like, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to go see the same band sing the same songs every show. Like, I get that, but it's more than that. And, that's a real Tool fan to understand that. But, that has been probably the best part of this whole thing for me, is that I actually have friends that I go to shows with and I enjoy them now. And I'm not just that quiet guy by myself, just going to the show, getting there, going and then leaving and going home.
No, I can completely relate to that, because I started diving into the rabbit hole, which is merch, early in the year. And I quickly, again, we're in April, and I'm now 4 episodes deep into a podcast, about it and about Tool people. So, I mean, I went to that first show alone with no concept of any of this, in San Diego. And we both know Bud, and he's the one who schooled me. And, I mention him a lot, so thanks, Bud. But it's nuts. You meet a bunch of people, and again, I met you, I met other admins, and I met Eric and other really cool people that are doing a lot of really cool things. So I completely agree with you. It's not just about seeing Tool play the same songs for 4 shows or 14 shows or 28 shows. It's about getting there, having fun with people, talking about something that you love and are passionate about, and then seeing Tool together, and then meeting up afterwards and going, that was awesome. What did you get? I got this. Or I lost.
Exactly. Yes.
I lost today.
Scores, yes.
I lost today.
Yes.
Maybe next time. But I also have this. You want to trade? I think what it really is it's extending the shows. You can go to you can go to one Tool show and see Tool, and then go back to your normal life. Me,
absolutely.
I figured out, which a lot of people did, that you can go to multiple Tool shows. You can go to just one Tool show, and you can jump on Tool Loot or the other pages, and you can extend your experience indefinitely. You can keep talking about Tool. You can keep looking at different posters. You can keep buying and trading. I think that's what's so alluring about this community, is you're not just going to one Tool show. You're going to as many Tool shows as you want, or just one, and then you continue to experience the whole universe in your daily life.
I never thought I would go to 12 shows in one tour and then go to 15 instead of 12. I mean, that was the craziest I've ever been when it came to shows. You know, when we did the Tampa run, those 3 shows, man, in my home state, that was probably the best time, because having my buddies with me and we were going to these shows, we didn't get much sleep. And, you know, as soon as we were done in Orlando, we're right in the line in Tampa. And it's funny because, you know, I know other people have mentioned about the line waiters. So yeah, I've used a line waiter a couple of times, but I've learned that from other people. And it's funny because when I was in Salt Lake City and I had a line waiter, and I don't mean to jump off what I was saying about Tampa, but the line waiters, we paid 2 guys to wait in line. Guess what I did? I sat in the car the whole time and watching these guys just sitting in line because I was afraid something were to happen and that they were going to leave. I'm like, see, I'm paying them and I'm not even going back to my room or anything. I think it's a control thing. I want to make sure I'm in control of my own destiny. And that's what was happening for Florida, because I was so stressed out when Adam Jones released when he released Adi's print on Instagram. But when Adam did that, I was like, oh, this sucks. Now I'm going to have to get in line early. Well, because of my soon-to-be 17-year-old, he owed me money because I had to help him, you know, get new tires and brakes on his car. And he only works, you know, every now and then. I said, okay, well, you're going to wait in line for me while I'm in Orlando. And then I'm going to come jump in the line when I get back, because I'm not going to take a risk of losing out on getting a doodle for Adi print. And sure enough, so he stayed there, and then I got back, and my buddy and I, we both got in the line, waited all night. I think we got like 3 hours of sleep, went to the show. Right after the Tampa show, jumped into the truck and drove to Miami. Had like 2.5 hours of sleep and jumped in the line again. That was probably the hardest, with having 3 days like that. Just you know, the 3 shows back to back like that. That was quite a run.
Again, I went to 6 shows, but the last 3 I did the exact same thing. And I thought I'd never go to that many shows. I never thought I would go across country to see Tool, but apparently I was wrong. You know, I'd never been to Cleveland before, but fuck it. You know, I had like you said, I had the means to get there. Why wouldn't I? If that's something I'm passionate about. So I have
Absolutely.
I have a couple final questions. The first one,
Sure.
If you're your average Tool collector, how should I go about getting into this game and being successful?
Well, you know, that probably would have been an easier question to ask a couple of years ago. I think after some of these, I call them newbies, after they get the bad taste out of their mouth from what they experienced this time around, all I could say is I would, you know, friend the people that are in the groups, that are always in the group, that are ones that are posting a lot, that have the collections, and then start reaching out to them and asking them, you know, maybe if they could help out on the next tour. Like, you know, like for myself, I've had people hit me up when I show up a doodle, and then they reach out, hey, if you don't want to, you know, if you decide you don't want to keep that, let me know and I'll buy it from you. That's the same kind of stuff that I do as well. I would try to go through Messenger and message and try to establish a relationship, or see if they would be interested in selling the stuff, or just really watching the game and seeing how it's being done. I mean, you got to get there early. You got to do the time.
I think that's the number one. You have to get there early, because and however early that is, you know, if it's now 48 hours, then, you know, that sucks. But
I hope not, because I'm not pulling any more of those. That just, it takes away the fun. It really does. And again, if it's not fun anymore, then I don't want to do it.
Out of all of the shows that you went to, how many were not VIP?
Well, this tour was all VIP. The last tour was not. The last tour was regular seats and VIP as well. I did 9 shows in the last tour. I had 12 set up, but I think out of those 9 shows, I want to say 6 of them were probably VIP.
Fair enough. Again, with all the rumors, because we didn't even get into a lot of the rumors. You know, there's some that you are paying people off. There's, you know, paying people to be in line, buying 50 posters. You know, I'm sure there's a rumor out there that you've sold your soul to, you know, Adam Jones.
Oh, wait. Here's the best rumor. No, I don't have a hookup with the band. If I had a hookup with a band, why the hell would I get there so early?
Yeah.
I don't have a hookup. I wish I did.
I wish I did, and I wish you did, so that I could mooch. Anyways.
Yeah, of course.
What I'm getting to is, what do you want people to know about Rod?
I'm just a passionate fan like everybody else, and I love the band and I love the art, and I love hanging out with other fans. It's a lot of fun.
Last question. What is your grail? Do you have one that you don't own right now? Is there something out there that you don't own that you're like, man, I really want that, but I just can't seem to find it?
That's a good one because I've got a lot of my grails now. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
You're a good hunter is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm a good hunter. I mean, it's like, my main grail I wanted for the longest time was the MX metal or MX foil X-ray Berlin, and I actually was able to acquire that right before COVID happened, and that's been my most acquired print that I love the most.
That's a good answer
for a grail.
Rod, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate asking me to come on.
No,
I love the podcast.
Thank you. I hope you come on again.
Well, when I told people I was doing a podcast with you, I heard more times than none, man, Chris is a good guy. He's a really good guy. That's awesome you're doing that with him.
Oh, thank you.
And that makes me feel better.
So again, please come back on. I think you have so much knowledge, and I think you're well-spoken, and I think people would like to hear from you more.
Thank you. I enjoyed being on. I was a little nervous, but I enjoyed it. Anytime you want me on, please. I'd love to come on.
So I want to thank Rod for coming on the show. I really like that guy. I met him through my travels around the Midwest at the beginning of starting this podcast, and we've been friendly ever since. I think it does a lot of good for a lot of people, and a lot of it people don't even know that he does. So again, thank you for coming on. Please like, follow, share the podcast, spiralout.podbean.com, @spiraloutpod on all your social medias. We got some fun stuff coming up, some cool guests. We got some more artists coming up. The Ben who did the Sacramento poster is going to be on next week. We have Camilla who did the Napa poster coming up. We got Nate Hill who did Omaha. Another guest coming up that I'm really excited for is Jeff who built Danny Carey's synth box. He will be on the show coming up very soon. So very exciting things. I want to thank everybody for all the support and all the listens and other news. I'm going to Deftones tonight. Hopefully I will get some people talking and have a good time, get some posters, get some merch. See Deftones, which is neck and neck with Tool for favorite band of all time. Different sides of the same coin, in my opinion. Primus is out there touring. Alex Gray finally did his 2022 drop. I got a Cleveland signed finally. I can stop talking about it and bringing it up in every episode, and I'm really excited about that. I also got a Chet Sar artist drop, and I'm excited about that as well. What posters am I looking for now? If you're out there and you have an ATL Brooks, hit me up. So again, thank you for listening, and Spiral out.